Hey Apex Agents, Mobius Y here with another video for Mass Effect Andromeda's multiplayer. Today was another two-part character build guide, and this is part 2 featuring some gameplay on gold difficulty of the Human Barricade Sentinel. As mentioned in the previous video, this is an alternative build to the much more traditional Human Sentinel, which focuses more on area damage and supporting teammates with the use of energy drain, as well as just being overall really tanky, being able to soak up damage for the squishier teammates that you might have on your team. But again, this one's very different. This one is all about pumping out higher sustained damage with your gun. You have two passive power picks that improve your gun accuracy and stability. You have an entire passive tree that improves your weapon damage. And you have your barricade ability, which when sitting behind it gives you additional damage and accuracy with your gun as well. So you have quite a few stacking bonuses to increase the effectiveness of your gun, as well as the damage of the gun that you are using. And even more so combined with equipment and boosters to really crank out that damage. So it makes this character actually fairly capable of pumping out a decent amount of damage, and it's easier to get into much more defensive positions with this character than something, say a Turian soldier. A Turian soldier, or at least in the previous build that I have gone over for the Turian soldier, requires hard cover to not necessarily be at maximum effectiveness, but to be able to be at maximum tankiness. Because if you recall, the way I had the Turian soldier set up was when you're sitting still for long enough, you get increased ramping damage resistance every second. You get a passive damage resistance buff when you are sitting in cover, and when you are using something like a siphon variant gun, you are able to just any damage that you are constantly dealing is able to regenerate your health while you're getting shot, on top of all this extra damage resistance that you have, on top of your passive health and shields, maximum health and shields that you have, blah, 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 so on and so forth. So this one, not so much in that respect, in that it's super tanky, but it's got a bit more utility to it, because you can pop that barricade down almost anywhere. If you get caught out in the open and you have a spare second to drop it, it can actually save your life numerous times. And it's also much handier for supporting the team on certain things like upload or hack objectives. Especially upload objectives is really handy. Hack objectives it can be pretty nice for as well, although those tend to be just a clusterfuck no matter what. But upload objectives is really handy, and it can be a godsend for devices. The only exception there would be really big boss units like destroyers and fiends that can simply walk right through it and make the energy barricade dissipate immediately. But apart from that, it is really good for blocking shots from enemies that are trying to hit you from long range while you're doing a device. So that is super handy. This character, you don't necessarily have to play it kind of campy in a much more defensive kind of position sort of way, in a spot where you have like a long sightline or anything like that. But this particular map, which is Firebase Vertigo, if I recall correctly, it's pretty good for it, because it's a long and narrow kind of map. So I could, in theory, just sit on the high ground on the far side of the map from the LZ and just kind of camp out by the two ammo boxes over there, drop my barricades when there's multiple bad guys or when there's at least one big boss, and just dump bullets down range if I so chose. But you'll see that I definitely don't do that. I still move around a fair bit, and there's even at least once where I try to go up to a group of baddies and drop my barricade right in the middle of them to cause the stun effect, as well as, just farm a few more barricade points, because those are a pain in the ass for that challenge. But that's beside the point. Anyways, so like I said, it largely depends on the gun you're using as well. If you're using something that is blatantly short range, like a shotgun, like say the Hesh or the Scatter Shot or the Piranha, things that are just grossly ineffective even at longer ranges, even with something like a Smart Choke and the passive accuracy and stability bonuses, you're going to be moving around much more. You're going to be getting in enemies' faces much more, even dropping your barricade right outside a spawn that just appeared right in front of you, for example, or you forced into a specific area, you know, you run right up in front of that spawn, drop your barricade, maybe directly in front of a couple of mooks to stun them, and then you just start gunning people down. Who knows? It might take a bit of getting used to being able to run around and not rely entirely on your barricade to save your butt for defensive positioning. Excuse me, but again, that just comes with time, as with just about everything else in this game. So, nothing terribly spectacular happens in this gameplay from what I can recall. You can see that I am not so great with the Raptor. I'll be glad when I'm done the challenge for this gun, honestly. But it's decently effective. It's not amazing, and I mean, there are definitely better guns out there than the Raptor, even some slightly better sniper rifles for long-range damage. Something like a Shadow would be extremely good. So you can just imagine how much more damage and how much quicker I could be killing things if I had something far more effective, like a Cyclone assault rifle, or a Thokin, or a Silhesh, or a Roserad, or, like I said, a Shadow. You know, any of those kind of guns, you know, the weapon damage would be huge, the extra accuracy and stability would be pretty significant, and it would just be an all-out bullet spray fest, and it would be very effective. So I think that'll just about sum it up. I'll let the gameplay speak for itself. Try this build out if you want to use something that is much more weapon-oriented and don't necessarily just want to run around supporting teammates with shield regeneration as well as causing tech bursts all day. That build is definitely effective, especially for area damage, but in terms of killing a single target in really, really quick succession, this build is much more effective for that, and it is definitely far better for helping take down bosses, because you can add your decent sustained damage with your teammates' sustained damage to help take down bosses just that much more quickly. So enjoy the rest of the gameplay. This has been Mobius Y for Mass Effect Andromeda multiplayer. To look at part 1 of this character build guide, where I strictly go over the powers and equipment that I used in this exact game here, check the links in the description below for a link to part 1, which is the build breakdown. I'll see you guys on the battlefield. Good luck, Apex.
I'm reading a flatline. Squad member down. Here for you.